Yes, sir.
If I can just double our next grade, yeah. Factor in for late grade today.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna go over a couple of these again. You guys didn't have to do two. Let's look at number 4. Can somebody read me what number 4 says? Do what?
X squared minus 6x minus 7 equals 0.
Minus 7 equals 0. Okay, so doing quadratic formula, I have to identify A, B, and C. So Jaylee, what's A, B, and C?
A is 1, B is -6, C is -7.
Very good.
Hey, did any of you get my hint for number 8? I just sent out a reminder. I already did. I didn't see it. Okay. All right. Well, I'm just curious.
All right. Morgan, can you tell me what is the quadratic formula?
Like without the numbers?
Without the numbers, yeah.
X equals -3, like positive.
Plus or minus.
Plus or minus. And then square root of b squared minus 4ac.
All right.
Over 2a.
Very good. Over 2a. Okay, every time. Negative b plus or minus radical b squared minus 4ac over 2a. You have to have that memorized. Okay? All right. Rachel, let's just go in order right here. Rachel, can you tell me what do I need to plug in now?
Plug in 1 for b. Or -2, 6 plus or minus.
Okay, good. Recognize she said 6. All right, because really this is the opposite of b since it's a negative variable. So that's a double negative. So we're going to say 6. All right, go ahead. Times 1, which is a, and -7, which is c. And it's going to be over 2 times 1. Okay. So remember what we wanted you to do yesterday. That's what we want you to continue to do, is find what's underneath this radical. Okay? Find what's underneath that radical. Whatever that number is, we have a special name for it that we're going to talk about today. It's called the discriminant. Okay? Whatever you get underneath that radical. So this is going to become 6. Oh, love when that happens. 6 plus or minus the square root. I have 36. And it's going to be what? Plus 28. So Rachel, what did you get underneath there?
64.
64. Okay. 64, and then that's going to be over 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, and I can easily simplify that. Radical 64 is going to be 6 plus or minus. Oh, sorry, not radical. Plus or minus. Hey, right there, I made a common mistake that I've seen a lot of students make in years past, which is after they simplify this radical, they leave that square root. Don't do that, okay? So finding that the square root of 64 is going to be 8, that is going to eliminate that radical symbol. And that's going to be over 2. All right, this is the part yesterday where we said, go ahead and try to do this in your head, or really don't rush it if you're going to use the calculator. Okay, so Grant, tell me, what is 6 plus 8? What's 14 divided by 2? All right, so my first one, 6 plus 8 is 14 divided by 2. X is going to be 7. And Grant, 6 minus 8 divided by 2? Negative 1. Okay. So there you go. Negative 1, 7 should have been our answers. Okay. Any questions about that? understand, we know this takes a lot of work. If you don't have a lot of work on your test on Monday, odds are you're gonna get it wrong, okay? You really have to go each step by step by step, especially because this is a new thing for you, all right? We know it's a lot of work. That's why you only got 5 problems for your homework, okay? Let's do one more. I want to do probably the one that we struggled with, which was number 8. Okay, so can somebody read number 8 for me? Zach, can you read number 8?
2x squared minus 6 equals 0.
2x squared minus 6 equals 0. Okay, we probably struggle with this. Why do you think we would struggle with this? Jordan?
There's no B.
There's no B. Okay, so if I ask you, identify A, B, and C, I'm going to say A is 2. What should I say B is? It's 0. Okay, if it's not there, it's 0. All right, say we had 2x squared minus 6x equals 0. Then we would say C is 0. If that value's not there, you have to give it 0. All right, and then Zach, what's C?
-7.
C is -6. Thank you. Tommy, what's the quadratic formula in terms of A, B, and C? Doesn't matter. It's just I want the quadratic formula.
-2 plus or minus.
Hold on. In terms of A, B, or C means give me the letters. Negative B, or the opposite of B, plus or minus
B squared.
radical B squared.
-4 and C.
Good. Minus 4 times A times C over what? 2A. Very good. Again, you have to get that memorized. Okay, so now if I plug in those things, those values that we found, okay? Zane, tell me, what do I need to plug in?
Okay, so 0 for B.
0 plus or minus
And then 0 squared.
0 squared minus 4.
2.
A is 2 and C is
-6.
-6. And that is going to be over 2 times A. What's A? 2. Okay. All right. So really, it's not too bad because I have a ton of zeros in here. All right. Again, find what is underneath this radical. That's the thing we're going to talk about today. It's called the discriminant. So I'm going to simplify as much stuff as I can here. It's going to be 0 plus or minus. Somebody tell me, what do we get underneath that radical? Colin? 48. So 4 times 2, or -4 times 2 times -6 is going to be 48. So I get radical 48 and then 4. Okay, now let's do square root of 48, which should be a decimal. So let's do, do we want 2 or 3 decimal places? 2. Okay. So I have 0 plus or minus, Colin, what'd you get? What's the square root of 48? Should be like 6.8 something, I'm assuming. What do you think? Zach, you got it?
Yeah.
Hanan's got it.
6.93.
6.93. All right. 6.93. And that's going to be over 4. All right. So really, this is just going to become positive. I'll split this. It's going to be 6.93 divided by 4. And it's going to be negative 6.93 divided by 4. Okay? So what'd you get for your answers, Hannah?
I got 1.73 and -8.
And same thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so we get positive 1.73 and negative 1.73. And those are going to be rounded answers. We also could have listed it like that, just positive or negative. All right, there's the others. So again, if you don't have a B value, you'll always have an A value, okay? But if you don't have a B, you don't have a C, you have to give it 0. All right, on your homework sheet or on a scrap piece of paper if you don't have it out, write down the quadratic formula.
Oh, yep, do that on the homework sheet. Yep.
Write down the quadratic formula 3 times.
I got 3 on these. I thought I reprinted these. No, do it pretty nice. I don't, I might not have this. Exactly. And then, I just was ready, so it would be okay. 3 times. That's already shown. Yeah, it's 49. I got it. No, not bad. He's good. But if you feel yeah. Okay. That's just across the board. It's across the board. Okay. Every class. Okay. You gotta watch that.
Yeah. No, yes.
So you don't have to see
No, not everything. Then you have B squared minus
All right, hey, a couple things here. Yeah, need you to make sure you pay attention. On the quiz, Monday, is you need to know this. Okay, but if you come to the quiz Monday and you totally forget it, then that would probably mean you get a really, really bad grade. Mr. Schler and I will let you buy it from us, okay, for the right price. What do you think we should charge?
big money,
Big money,
big money, like $10.
$10
For what?
for the formula. And so if you forget it, you can buy it for $10. No, I'm kidding, we won't charge you money.
I'll give you 15 right now.
I might try.
But if you need us to give it to you, it does cost a penalty in terms of points on the test. We'll take off 2 points off your test.
There's a whole question on this.
So
Pretty sure that's-
then you better learn it.
Yeah.
I won't forget it.
Then don't forget it. Don't forget it.
Mr. Ulap, you should take off 50% so everyone remembers it.
What if I just write it off?
Okay.
Now, take off 50%.
All right, second thing, I need to announce this, and this kind of pertains to everybody, because every year this scenario happens. And you're new, you're in 9th grade, so this is different than middle school. Kind of the rules. There is a rule, for all high school classes. If you fail the 4th 9 weeks, and you fail the exam, the final exam, you automatically fail the course. You have to repeat it. And unfortunately, we get 1 kid or 2 kids every year that happens to, and it should never happen. All right, and so what happens is you get to the 4th 9 weeks, you stop doing your homework, you stop studying, and then this happens, and then you're taking Algebra 1 next year again. I don't want that to happen to anybody, but that's a rule. And if you choose not to do what you need to do, that could happen. So here's what I mean. The first 9 weeks, if you got a 90, second 9 weeks, you got a 95. On the first exam, semester exam, you got an 82. Third 9 weeks, you got an 87. But the 4th 9 weeks, you get a 58. And the final exam, you get a 55. This person is sitting right here next year again. It's not gonna be out. Okay? You can't say to me, Mr. Delap, but I did great up until it doesn't matter. We got no choice. It's the rules. Okay? So the rules in place so that you don't just stop doing something for 9 weeks. So you've got to stay up on your homework. You've got to stay up. And here's the deal. If you do not pass the 4th 9 weeks, you make it really hard to pass the exam because it's a lot of the same material. It's a lot of the same material. Okay? So if you didn't pass it the first time, don't think, well, I'll just pass the exam. Okay? So you got to be careful. How do you avoid this situation? Honestly, if you do your homework, then 99% of the time you're going to be okay. All right, just do the little things, okay? Now, hey, I don't want to be, bearer of bad news, but like I said, I give you between like all the algebra teachers, we get 1 or 2 kids a year that this happens to, and it should never happen, but it does. So I'm letting you know ahead of time.
What if you fail everything but the 4th 9 weeks?
If you fail 3 of the 9 weeks, then it's kind of the same situation. You do not pass for the year. Okay? So if somebody
I'll see you next year.
got a 58, a 58, a 58, 95, 95, you're still back in Algebra 1. Okay?
Did these make you fail?
These do not make you fail. A failing grade is below a 60. Okay? A D is not a failing grade. Is that what you were worried about?
Yes, I was very worried about that.
A D is and that's a good question. We gotta make sure we explain that. A D is a passing grade. It's, nothing to put on the refrigerator. But if you fail the 4th 9 weeks, okay. Now, we still got like 7 weeks left, but the reason I bring this up is we got this quiz Monday, and this can be a hard quiz if you're not prepared. I think if you do the work and you're prepared, you'll be fine, absolutely. But you got to do a little bit of work up front. We got one more thing to cover. These guided notes, I made some changes on them, and for whatever reason, I got my old ones. This is good. For the most part, we'll be okay. I might have to switch 1 or 2 things, and we're not going to do everything on the back. But the front, we need to cover. We're going to talk about something called the discriminant, and talk about something where we just talk about the number of solutions for this. So the discriminant is just this part right here, and it's a fancy word. It's the b squared minus 4ac. It's what comes underneath the radical, but you don't use the radical. You just say the b squared minus 4ac. This tells us some information about our answers. It tells us what type of answers we get and how many. So you can determine the number of solutions of a quadratic equation by evaluating its discriminant. All right, now you have this chart, correct? I think this is that chart. All right, here's the deal. 3 cases we want to worry about. If the discriminant is positive, if it equals 0, or if it's negative, okay? So they actually go through the work here. So you notice there's no square root on that. It's just b squared minus 4ac. So the first one I got a 4. The second one they get a 0. The third one I got a negative 4. All right, what does it say below that? Okay, does it give you the graph? All right, it gives you the graph. If the discriminant is positive, that means that we will get 2 x-intercepts. Those are our solutions. If it is 0, we get 1, and if it's negative, we get 0 x-intercepts. Now you should have blanks underneath there, right? The number of solutions, if it is a positive number, would be 2. Fill that in if you would. That's mean you get 2 solutions. Okay? The number of solutions if the discriminant is 0 is 1. And then you get no real solutions if it is a negative. That means there's not an answer in that we deal with. You'll deal with how to do those in algebra 2. We don't deal with it yet. So it's just 2, 1, or 0. And all you're doing is the discriminant positive or is it negative? This is just kind of a summary. I know this one isn't on your page, but if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, 2 real solutions. If b squared minus 4ac equals 0, it's 1 solution. And if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0, we get no real solutions. Okay, just exactly what we talked about. All right, is this the same as what you have?
Yes.
Okay, all right. For this case here, it says find the number of solutions of each equation using the discriminant. You don't have to solve it. That's the biggest thing. People end up doing too much work. Just figure out what b squared minus 4ac is. So take this. Now remember, a is 3, b is negative 2, c is positive 2. And all we do is substitute them in and see whether we get a positive number. Now, I do need to see what that number is. So go through your work. B squared. Now this is the biggest thing with that. If b is a negative, you got to put that in parentheses. A is 3. C is 2. What you got?
Is it negative 20?
Negative 20. 4 times 3. I think it is. I think it is. Sam, you think it's negative 20?
Yeah.
Okay, because this is positive 4. And then 4 times 3 is 12 minus 2 is 24. I get negative 20. Now, if you just stop and you just put negative 20 and you go to the next problem, you haven't answered the question. It says determine the number of solutions. So you need to say no real solutions. It just means the graph doesn't hit the x-axis. I'd like to kind of summarize everything, but it's kind of hard for you to put it all together just yet. But that would be no real solutions. Is this your B? Do you have the same equation? Yeah? All right, good. 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. All right, go ahead and figure out what b squared minus 4ac is.
They used to do that.
Yes, sir.
For their homework, if they didn't write the formula down, what are we taking off?
A point for each one.
Oh, wow.
Wait. So like, or is it like if you got it wrong, is that marked off?
Nope. I specifically told you to write down this quadratic formula and that's an account. So you would,
So for each one.
yes, that's 5. So you use 5 points.
I wrote it down.
If you remember yesterday at the beginning of class, we told you to factor. A lot of people were trying to complete the square solving those quadratics. It's all about following directions. Okay, especially this time of the year when we're getting ready for a state test. Follow the direction. Make sure you understand what a question is asking.
All right, so b squared minus 4ac. Allie, did you figure out what it equals?
25.
She says 25. So I get 11 squared minus 4 times 2 times 12, which is 121 minus 96, 25. So that's all I need to know. It's not the answer, but what does that tell me? It tells me there are
2 solutions.
2 solutions. Bless you.
Because it's not zero.
Is that the only reason?
That's it. If it's a positive number, it's 2 real solutions. And we could find them if needed to. All right, is that the same as your third one? All right, so far so good. Okay, now this one here, we had a negative number, we had a positive number. Those of you who are pretty intuitive will probably figure out this is going to be 0. So we go through each case. So b squared minus 4ac is going to be 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 16. And I get 64 minus 64, which is 0. That means I have 1. Real solution. Sorry. Sorry. All right, go ahead and flip it over to the back. We're not going to do exactly what's on there, but there's some room there. Yeah. All right, I do like what it says at the bottom there. And this is kind of where we talked about, you gotta follow directions. Methods of solving quadratics. We've done all of these. We've done the graphing, and those of you who are with me for the Desmos are a little more familiar. We've done factoring, we've done square roots, we've done completing a square, and we've done the quadratic formula. There's actually like 5 ways you can solve a different equation. We want to figure out the best. All right, all I want to do here on the back is I want to make sure you don't forget it. We're going to solve this using the quadratic formula. So just kind of over here in this area here, I mean, don't worry about those A to B. You can cross those out. Just find some room, and we're going to solve that like we did yesterday.
Wait, so we gotta break down the problem?
Yes, that one's not on your back of your sheet. You can cross out that A and B.
What about the example two?
We're not going to do that.
Let's just cross that out. Leave it there.
Leave it so you can go through it, but we're not going to do it. So, but write this problem down somewhere. So I don't want you to forget it. So 2x squared plus 3x minus 5. This is where A equals 2, B equals 3, C equals -5. And then I'm going to write down negative B plus or minus square root of B squared minus 4AC all over 2A. And then I'm gonna plug in. Now this case here, I'm not just figuring out how many solutions I got, I'm actually finding them. Okay, I'm actually finding them, so I wanna do one like that. All right, substitute everything in. The opposite of B is -3. B squared is 3 squared minus 4 times 2 times -5. Do figure out what you get underneath that radical. Don't take the square root yet. Don't do it all in one step. Colin?
Is it -31?
I don't think so. Think?
It's 49. I didn't put mine.
Okay, I think it's 49 here. Because I'm gonna do.
How did I get 744?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I got 49.
I got 744.
All right, well, look what I'm doing here. And then, Joe, let's make sure we figure it out. You got 3 squared, right? Minus
Oh, yeah, I didn't have that.
4
Oh, wait.
times 2 times -5. And so you get 49. And so now we rewrite this as -3 plus or minus square root of 49 over 4. Now you test what is the square root of 49. If it's a whole number or if it's a decimal, that kind of tells us how we go about the rest of it. Square root of 49,
7.
it is 7. So now I got -3 plus or minus 7 over 4. Okay, so now this is you're either gonna get a whole number or you're gonna get a fraction. You shouldn't have any decimals if the square root is a whole number. And so so that gives me -3 plus 7 over 4 and -3 minus 7/4. And then again, watch how you enter this in your calculator, because if you just type it all in and you're careless, you're gonna end up getting an incorrect answer. I just think it's, I mean, you should be able to do it mentally, but if you wanna double check it, -3 plus 7 is 4, divided by 4, we better get 1 for that first answer. And I get -10/4, which reduces to -5/2. So I get x equals -5/2 and 1. Okay, -5/2 and 1. So the first part, what we did on the front, it just says, how many solutions are there? You just figure out the discriminant, is it positive, negative, or 0. Here, you're gonna find the solutions. All right, I wanna give you a little bit of time here. All right, again, you're responsible for following directions. Those 3, you're going to solve like we just did. You're going to find the answers using the quadratic formula for 36, 37, and 38. You are going to just tell me the discriminant and how many solutions you get.
So much.